In these low bushes of sagebrush, the risk is high for the smallest rabbit on the planet, the pygmy rabbit. Federally endangered for years, they're on the brink of extinction. But can they be saved? We'll find out. In the dry slopes of Ephrata, dust rose from our tracks as we drove up a remote location in search of the elusive Columbia Basin pygmy rabbits. Birdsong and the scent of sagebrush greeted us at sunrise in the arid landscape of central Washington. But there's more than meets the eye, if you know where to look. This vast expanse of shrub steppe is an oasis for the endangered rabbits that depend heavily on sagebrush for food, water, and shelter, and, believe it or not, aromatherapy to cope with the stress from their predators. In our search, we met with volunteers and biologists from the state's Department of Fish and Wildlife. They're here on a mission to save the rabbits from blinking out of the landscape, a sort of genetic rescue, if you will.
If you plug it, an orange flag goes on the sagebrush and an orange flag will go on the burlap.
They start their day by setting traps in this protected area that spans 10 to 12 square miles.
We come out here and we go to their burrow systems where we place traps to help capture them. And we have some nets that we're able to corral some of the rabbits in there. Good, we're in. Then we bring them back over here and we kind of let the science go to work. Okay, we're good.
Named after its size, an adult pygmy rabbit weighs a pound at most and fits right in the palm of your hand. They're the only rabbit species known to dig their own burrows, helping aerate the soil and provide a healthy habitat for other animals. They convert sagebrush to protein, and there's not a lot of species that can do that. Pygmy rabbits are prey to about 20 predators, so their extinction would throw off the balance in the ecosystem.
Pygmy rabbits have a very short lifespan, usually just 2 years. They do have very high levels of predation naturally, so we had to design a way to still allow them to grow and be wild animals, but limit some of those factors that, reduce their population. These enclosures allow us to build up a supply of rabbits for our reintroductions, and we relocate them to areas that could take them decades to get to on their own.
As endangered species, pygmy rabbits live in an age of extinction.
We would need 6 populations of at least 100 rabbits each, and that would allow us to delist them because our confidence for their long-term survival would be a lot higher. We have 2 populations that we have established, and we are working on the 3rd and 4th today.
Agricultural development, a worsening climate, and wildfires have put them at great risk of vanishing from the face of the earth. In 2001, it got so bad that only 16 of them were left, and just 7 years later, the Columbia Basin lost its last pure pygmy rabbit.
These fires are, thousands of square miles in size. There's just no, you just can't sustain that level of loss. We lose the habitat for 20 to 30 years, but we also lose all of that rabbit capital that we built up, all those animals we released, all the breeding enclosures we have, they just are vaporized and there's just nothing left.
We're always on edge, hoping that whenever the next storm rolls through, that lightning doesn't strike in our area to burn down more habitat. They breed like rabbits is what everybody thinks. And they do to some extent, but we do have the fires, or we suffer from like a massive heat wave, and then they just end up not having enough water because they get the dew off of the leaves, and so they die from either malnourishment or dehydration.
In 2021, the state legislature granted over $2 million to restore and protect our sagebrush ecosystems. Today, pygmy rabbits face a new threat that has scientists concerned.
It is basically the rabbit version of Ebola, where the rabbit dies from internal hemorrhaging. It's a very lethal virus. It's very easy to spread. It's very hardy.
Something that the agency takes very seriously.
We give a vaccine to every one of our rabbits that we release that are older than 10 weeks old. It gives them a good chance of surviving.
With all these threats, it's no wonder their numbers are few and far between, which is why the agency is so keen on protecting them.
Loose dirt is good. It means they've been coming in and out of there recently, this morning.
After the traps are set, it's only a matter of time till they're filled. Fingers crossed. Soon enough, it's go time. This isn't a synchronized dance routine. It's the team doing a rabbit roundup, scanning the enclosure while flapping pillowcases to gently spook the rabbits out of hiding. It's harder than it looks, and up close,
It's right here.
it gets crazy.
All right, let's all get in our line.
Keep moving.
Keep pushing, pushing.
Keep moving.
Hands and knees.
Keep going.
Get in.
Keep moving. Keep moving.
Sometimes they get lucky.
All right, stand. Do we have anybody?
Keep moving. It's up here in this bush. Keep moving. Go back. There's two in here. There's another one in this bush. Oh, oh, oh.
And sometimes
It's feast or famine.
they don't.
And there's one in a trap back there. Yeah, same barrel.
But there's still some traps to check.
We try to cover their eyes as quickly as possible just to get them to relax so they don't overheat, they don't hurt themselves. We don't want to stress rabbits any more than we actually have to, and so anything above 80 degrees is where we stop.
Once caught, they're transferred into bins and are prepped
Eyes are clear, nose is good.
for a health exam.
So many grams. We look the rabbit over, we take some measurements, we determine its sex, its age, its weight.
144.
We kind of pierce its ear, take a tiny little piece of tissue, and that allows us to get a genetic fingerprint. Whenever we capture that rabbit again, we can scan it and know who it is, and we know, everything about it. Over pretty good.
I'm ticklish.
After the health check, they're vaccinated.
It's when the needles come out that we back off and hush.
Then they're finally sent back home to their burrows.
We're gonna smother it, but we cannot cover the eyes so it's not too scared.
Today, there are hundreds of pygmy rabbits in the Columbia Basin, but they're still far from having a healthy population.
We're hoping we can get a sizable population in each area within 3 years. We don't have another source of pygmy rabbits, so we have to sustain this breeding operation, so we save a portion of those juveniles each year for future breeding.
We like to think that we're making good progress, and judging by the kits that we're getting now, it gives us a good bit of hope, but you don't want to hold your breath for too long because that can change in like the drop of a hat.
And because they're still vulnerable to wildfires and habitat loss, only time will tell what could happen next to these rabbits. But to the agency, today was a success.
Today was a great day. We were super successful. We ended up catching 19 rabbits out of this enclosure, which is one more than what we ended up catching out of our enclosure yesterday. When we have days like this where we end up catching like 18, 20, 25 rabbits, it feels very rewarding.